Turnovers kill the Lakers again, and another double-digit 20-point loss, this time to the Pistons. How are the Lakers going to fix what ails them as they enter the new year?
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, no matter how you get the podcast. Whether you're a subscriber to the YouTube channel, over 37,000 strong, and Locked On Lakers on YouTube, perhaps you get it on Apple, perhaps you get it through Spotify. No matter how you do it, you're part of making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in this or any other known universe. I'm Brian Kamenetsky with Andy Kamenetsky, who covered the Lakers for a very long time, nearly 20 years, for a variety of outlets, including ESPN and The Athletic. This game against the Detroit Pistons, which turned into a blowout loss, 128-106, it wasn't that the entire time. The Lakers were in this game and even tied it up in the third quarter. But when Detroit took control, it really, to me, just put all of the problems that the Lakers currently have without Austin Reeves, no Rui Hachimura in this game, and just the general roster construction. It made all of it blindingly obvious what the problems are with this team. Again, 128-106, the final score. An ugly way to end 2025 for the Lakers.
First of all, shout out to the Lakers. They remain undefeated for losing by double digits. They are now 11-11.
6 of those by more than 20, Andy.
Right. And I guarantee they're the only team in the league that holds this particular record. I don't remember the last time this has happened for any team going this long where they only lose by double digits. So I guess in that sense, in a season that's had wild fluctuations in terms of who's been available, the way they've tried to play it, all sorts of uncontrollables, this is the one area where they've been like rock solid consistent. So
it does make it so like if they're 8-9 minutes left in the game and they're not down by 14, you can actually feel pretty comfortable.
I mean,
they might win.
It is insane that they are undefeated for double-digit losses and undefeated in clutch time. What a time to be alive, man. Just a weird effing team. But this was a game that, given who was missing for the Lakers, the fact that Detroit is a very good team to begin with. They are a better team, all evidence has shown, than the Lakers anyway, and they are as if designed in a lab to give the Lakers, even at full strength, much less this version, problems. And I will say, in the Locked On Podcast Network Top 100 NBA Players project that we and all the other hosts participated in, I had Cade Cunningham at number 10. So in other words, 10th best player in the league, which was higher than the consensus for the network. And as it turns out, I may very well have had him too low. Like, that dude is a problem. But the thing that was frustrating for me watching this game, it's not that the Lakers lost, because there was so much set up for them to lose, including Detroit is better than them and coming off a difficult, frustrating road trip that you knew damn sure they were going to try to turn this thing around.
Yep.
The problem for me was the things that were controllable for the Lakers that would have at least given themselves the best possibility to try to, if not pull the upset, at least keep it competitive wire to wire. They did a bad job controlling the controllables. Like, they were down 70-65 at the half, despite having 12 turnovers at the half, where they gave up 20 points off turnovers. Detroit had 46 points in the paint. The Lakers had already missed 5 free throws. To be down just 5
Detroit went into the half shooting over 68%.
Right. Like, to be down just 5 under those circumstances, I think spoke well, and I think it should be pointed out, to how hard the Lakers were trying in this game. The
I agree.
effort was there. Like, the desire to win this thing was there, but there were so many avoidable mistakes that they made in this game that, again, I'm not saying the Lakers should have won because they were not set up to, but they could have been in a position to play better in a loss. And that was frustrating to watch.
It was. I mean, I want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. To your point, Andy, some of the things that you were referencing here, the Lakers, you mentioned the 12 turnovers in the first half. They finished with 20. And the big run that Detroit made in the fourth quarter to put the game away was fueled almost entirely by Lakers turnovers. 4 or 5 possessions in a row where the Lakers gave the ball up to Detroit. LeBron called them pick sixes. Just too many easy opportunities for the Pistons and too many trips for the Lakers where they're simply not getting a shot. It's not just that Detroit gets the ball or even gets an easy basket. It's that the Lakers also don't get an opportunity to score on those possessions. So there's that. They made it to the line 31 times. They missed 10 of those shots. So 21 of 31 from the free throw line. That is not going to get it done, 68%. And then, you start getting into other things. They shot 45% from the field. They were 28% from 3-point range. They're just, those numbers.
And a lot of the threes were poorly selected threes.
Some of them were, some of them weren't. Luka had a couple loose ones. They ran
LeBron had a couple loose ones.
Right. They ran into some late clock threes. I think they were.
They also ran in some early clock threes as well.
Sure.
A lot of really early clock.
There were
no
some
passing.
of those, but I'm not trying to parse every single three that they took. But I'm just saying, they had some threes that were taken under, late clock duress. They had some threes, I think, that came from feeling like you have to try to trade 3 for 2 because Detroit was in the paint the entire game. And the Lakers, couldn't get into the paint to save their lives. So I think they felt like they, often felt like they needed to somehow sort of trade up and generate offense quickly.
But it becomes a catch-22, really.
I'm not condoning it. I know,
but I just want to explain the catch-22. When they put up those type of threes that are not good threes, particularly on a night where Luka and LeBron, neither one of them is shooting them well. They were combined 6 of 21 from behind the arc. Those often lead to the type of runouts that give Detroit advantage and help them live in the paint. Like you do have to be more selective with it. They just do.
You're not going to find anybody who harps on the influence of offense on your defense more than me. But it gets to what you were saying before. Like the Lakers came into this game needing to display an enormous amount of discipline to have a chance to win. Like discipline in their execution, discipline in their shot selection, discipline in their passing, and all these other things. That runs into problems, though, because you also have to figure out, all right, we're playing against a team that's better than us, that has way more offensive firepower than we do, that can put more ball pressure on than we can move the ball better than we. So you also feel, I think, compelled to take chances. And you saw, LeBron and Luka had 13 turnovers between them. At least half of those were like watching like Brett Favre on his bad days or Stafford against the Falcons on Monday Night Football, trying to put balls into windows that are just too small, where you see something instantly where you're trying to create an opportunity and the window just isn't there. And, I know particularly those two feel like they can get a pass into the tiniest cracks, but they just weren't there. And this team without Austin Reeves and without Rui, who didn't play, just suffers from everything. Like they don't. We'll talk about this in the next segment. Like what can they? Because this gets to what they can do going forward. They don't have a superpower with this. Like they're not a good shooting team right now. They're not a great shooting team, period. But without Rui and Austin, that takes away a big chunk of their
even without
shooting.
Gabe.
Sure. They're also though, but if you're not going to be able to shoot the ball, shoot the three, you got to be able to get to the free throw line. The Lakers have been a team that gets to the line a lot, but without Austin there, not only did they lose Austin's free throws that nobody else can generate, Austin helps generate free throws for LeBron. LeBron can't get to the line as much on his own as he used to. You're basically down to Luka as a guy who can kind of get himself to the line with frequency. That's not going to get it done. So we'll talk a little bit more about this and some other stuff that went wrong over the course of Tuesday night's game next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays, they already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. It's your official pregame NBA Happy Hour, a limited time window where special prices, special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern time have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new, boosts, bonuses, surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Yeah, so Andy, when you start to break this stuff down, my big concern coming into this game, obviously the Lakers defense has been atrocious over the last couple of weeks. Kings game notwithstanding. Kings, by the way, got hammered again on Tuesday, this time by the Clippers. I was really curious how they were going to generate enough offense to stay in this game. And I kept looking at, like, if you just watched a game without being able to see the score in the first half, I think your general impression of the game would have been the Pistons were up by like 15.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the Lakers you're still in the game. And I was like, okay, well, maybe Detroit cools off a little bit. Maybe the Lakers catch fire a little bit. Obviously, neither of those things happened. LeBron, who was very hot early as he celebrated his 41st birthday, got very cold late. It's old people, as the night goes on, it tends to get tougher to do stuff. Like the Lakers cooled off. They could and then what seemed like it was
probably full from the 3 p.m. buffet that he went
to. He'll still be up at 4 a.m. because that's also what old people do.
Pulling up those socks, those vein socks. That's so uncool.
I'm telling you, man, you get to a certain age, putting on socks is no joke.
Also, too, really quick, as long as we're talking about LeBron's birthday, and this game was played on his 41st birthday, Bleacher Report tweeted out this picture of, I'm guessing LeBron is anywhere from like 5 to 7 to 8 years old or whatever. Strong turtleneck game for young LeBron Ramon James. That is fantastic. I mean, cute as hell, but look at that turtleneck, man.
Good
that
turtleneck.
is awesome.
Adorable little elephant.
I mean, but it's like it's got an adorable little elephant stuffed animal, but he's also wearing this turtleneck and it almost looks like a smoking jacket. Like LeBron looks cool as hell in this photo.
Cool then, cool now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like he cooled off significantly, and there's just DeAndre Ayton was invisible basically in this game. He was the only other Laker in double figures. But he also only had 2 rebounds. This is in part the 2 rebounds, I will say, to be fair to DeAndre, are in part because Detroit never missed. So I think there were only about 8 rebounds available, period, for the Lakers to get. Jake LaRavia was, to his credit, extremely active, especially in the first half. He was doing all kinds of stuff and disrupting things and creating opportunities for the Lakers to get the ball
As
back.
was
And
Vando, Marcus
right, they were all
Smart.
trying.
Yeah.
But Jake had 9 points, and Marcus Smart didn't have a bucket until I think the end of the third. Was it the fourth?
I
Little
think it was
floater.
the fourth.
His only field goal was a little floater. I guess it was in the fourth. Yeah, you're right. Jared Vanderbilt had 8 points in the first half. He had 8 points at the end of the game.
He hit his 2 corner threes, man.
He did.
He's the only guy on this team who should have a green light from behind the arc.
Well, except for Dalton Connect. Like Dalton Connect, we were both thinking the same thing at the same time. Connect finishes with 13 points. 10 points in 4 minutes of play.
He is the Michael Jordan of garbage time. Like every garbage time is Dalton Connect's flu game.
Yeah,
he is unreal.
You put him in a game that's inside 8 points and he can't do anything.
No.
But if it's like 12, 15.
In either direction, doesn't matter.
I don't want to make this game about Dalton Connect, but part of the problem
wasn't.
but part of the problem that the Lakers have. Part of the problem the Lakers have is actually related to the fact that Connect sucks. Like as a he has not panned out as a professional. Like he is supposed to be one of these guys who can solve some of their shooting problems. He is supposed to be their Sam Merrill, their Cam Spencer, these guys that teams are starting to find that can just really drill threes, spread offenses, and do all this stuff. And he's so ineffective in meaningful minutes that it hampers this roster. And I think the reason he's able to go out and score 10 points in 4 minutes of garbage time is because all the rules go away in garbage time. It's, he can just hoop, which is what he likes to do. He's a hooper. And so, that's an issue. There is this team was top heavy to begin with. And when you take away an all-star in Reeves, it, exposes some of the, LeBron's not being, capital, all caps LeBron anymore. And then you take away Rui, who is their only shooter of any kind of reliability.
And Luka, to be honest, has not, ever since he came back from Slovenia, I'm not going to say he's been bad because that's not true, but he has not been as good as he was pre-Slovenia.
No, he was Reeves with
and he was not good in this game at all.
No, he wasn't. Reeves with remarkable efficiency, Luka with tons of efficiency early in the year were helping carry the Lakers through and covering some of their flaws. So yeah, I mean, are you blaming Luka's child here?
No, I'm not blaming.
Is it that little tiny baby's fault? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, it could be many things. It could be jet lag. It could be Luke. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, but at the same time,
trying awfully hard not to blame that baby.
Well, now that I think about it, though, the truth is I don't know enough to rule out the baby. I mean, it might actually be the baby's fault. If I don't feel, I mean, we haven't covered Luka for a long time. We certainly haven't gotten to know him well or have a lot of sourcing within Team Luka. The truth is the problem might be the baby. I just can't say it one way or the other.
The baby is telling Luka to take some of those.
No, it's not that. That would be ridiculous. I'm just saying the baby's causing problems because the baby's a baby and doesn't know any better. I'm not going to say the baby is giving Luka bad advice. She's a baby.
All I'm saying is they need to put that baby somewhere else until the end of the season. That's all Andy's saying. It's just this is one of those things where I look at this game And for about 3/4 of the game, I was actually thinking to myself, this makes me feel at least slightly better about the team than actually the Kings game did. Like, for a little while, I was like, you know what? Because this is Detroit's a better team. The Lakers are figuring out ways to stay in it. They were doing all this other stuff. Like, the Kings game was a needed victory, but didn't show much. Like, the Lakers had to work to stay in this game, and they did.
They did.
And
when they didn't turn the ball over constantly, and when they attempted to more patiently run an offense, they actually, it was hard to tell, given that, like, in the first half, Detroit had 70 points. The Lakers actually did a decent job disrupting Detroit's offense when they weren't trying to cover for their own mistakes, but they were often disruptive. They were often working. Like, Detroit had almost 20 turnovers themselves. Like, I'm not going to say the Lakers defense was great in this, because that's not the truth, but they were working a lot.
Their half court defense was, I don't want to say it wasn't good, but it wasn't
the problem.
Wasn't the problem. I think that's a really good way of putting it. That wasn't the problem. Most of their defensive problems, I think, were really tied in one way or another to their offense.
Yes.
And after the break, I want to kind of get into, like, what can be done, if anything, and look a little bit at what's coming for the Lakers, because they've got some games that are going to be very tough to win, which makes some other games must wins. We'll explain next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. During basketball season, there is nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the big first run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what the tickets are actually going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it easy to score amazing tickets fast, simple, without any guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets just takes a few taps. And then the prices, they include the fees up front. So the total is crystal clear from the start. And whether we're talking about an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, Locked on NBA, for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Get in on the action.
So we get your emails. We know that most of you, for example, want to, or many of you, I should say, want to watch Andy pin all the team's problems on an infant without commercial interruption.
She knows what she did.
You don't want ads. And if that's your deal, then you can sign up to be a part of the Everydayer Club here at Locked On. And by doing so, you can get an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Lakers. It's compatible with Apple, with Spotify, every other major podcast app. You also get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. So, for example, if you're a person who really likes to get in to the live show and engage on the chat board, which many people are doing as we record this episode, this Discord server is another place where you can go do that. And, and just talk to other Locked On fans, Lakers fans, Andy and I, as the season goes on. So $5 a month, $50 a year. You join the Everydayer Club. Check the show notes if you're interested, or go to lockedonlakers.supercast.com, lockedonlakers.supercast.com. If this isn't for you, you don't want to pay for anything, fine. Just coming to the show, however you've been doing it for all this time, and nothing changes for you. Speaking of changes, Andy, are there any really that, as frustrating as this sounds, is there really any lever here that while these guys out, you think JJ Redick can pull to help with this?
It's going to be tough. I mean, let's hope that they don't end up more injury prone. I mean, hopefully Rui will be back within a week. That's what JJ said was the hope, that he'll be back relatively quickly. And hopefully it doesn't turn into he's gone for a week with a calf strain and then it becomes like Austin, where that week turns into a game and a half and then a month to 6 weeks out. But assuming Rui is back in relatively expected time, I've given up on trying to predict when Gabe Vincent's going to be back, but I'm assuming unless he truly is.
We're entering Kendrick Nunn territory.
Well, I was going to say he truly is Kendrick Nunn 2.0, right down to the last team he played for before he joined the Lakers and kept getting hurt.
Please, just no more Miami Heat.
I think a lot of this is going to be, and this might sound reductive and stupid, but I think it's actually the truth. They are going to have to execute to the absolute best of their ability. They have to be disciplined. They have to not try to get leads back in a hurry. Like they have to the best of their ability, outsmart and out execute some of the teams they're going to play, because they lack athleticism at full strength, much less this version right now. It doesn't help that Luka was dealing with, it seemed like, some type of shoulder thing during the game. I don't know if it was like a groin or lower leg or something. There was a collision that he had that had him shook up as well. You know, there's been a couple times over the last few games that LeBron has landed and you've seen him wince a little bit. Like, they're going to be at athletic and speed disadvantages on their best,
because their star players are not hyper athletic guys,
and
aside from LeBron at full speed on the break.
Right. And look, even when Austin eventually comes back, he is below NBA average for athleticism. Like that's the way this team is set up. It's one of the things that I've said needs to drastically change with this team. I've talked about that a lot, but this is where they are and even if they look to make trades, they only have so many chips that they can cash in along that front. So they are going to have to try to avoid putting themselves in bad positions as much as possible. Like I talked about this a lot last year. For as much as D'Angelo Russell was underperforming as a player in the half season before they eventually traded him for DFS, the reason that D'Lo's advanced metrics, no matter which ones you looked at, were good and some of the best on the team was he didn't turn the ball over. And he avoided putting the Lakers in transition defensively where they're absolutely awful. And this is just and this comes through not turning the ball over. It comes through better shot selection. It comes through controlling the controllables to the best of their abilities, because they can't make themselves more athletic. They can't make themselves faster. Like, that's not possible.
Yeah. And, you know, if you are the Lakers, when they've been at their best over the last couple of seasons, they've been a high turnover team. There's no question. But they've also had, you know, they had a stretch last year where they started to shoot the ball actually pretty well. So they became a decent outside shooting team. And they've always been a team that can get to the free throw line. So, you know, you can get away with too many turnovers if you are living at the line. You can get away with turnovers if you are a good 3-point shooting team. If you're a bad 3-point shooting team, you can compensate by not turning the ball over a lot and getting the free throw line. Like a bit, what
especially
you can't
against a team, by the way, like the Pistons, that is perfectly fine putting players at the line. They're okay with it, and B, they had a lot of guys in foul trouble, and this is part of what frankly pissed me off about the 3-point selection. It's like you have an opportunity to actually go at these guys more and you're actually bailing them out with some of these shots. You just
the problem, and I agree with you. The problem that they have to some degree is that aside from Luka, without AR, they don't have a lot of guys who individually can put pressure on teams and like force fouls in that way. And so, Detroit certainly wasn't scared, I think, of the Lakers' ability to, turn a corner, to put the ball on the floor. And
he still might get to the line, though. I mean, especially the way this game was getting called.
I don't think they were worried about that in terms of how they were defending. Like if they needed to back off a little bit from the physicality to stay in the game, I think they felt like they could do that a little bit and not give up anything. Detroit doesn't foul, at least I've watched them play a few times this year, not every game. I think a lot of what they do in terms of their high foul rate is identity based in terms of being really, really physical. They're not doing that because they can't defend people.
No, I know that.
So what I'm saying is, if particularly against a team like the Lakers that don't put a lot of one-on-one pressure, like you say, you're going to have to scheme and execute and counter your way to creating those kinds of opportunities to get a team kind of wrong-footed where they really need to foul you because to prevent a basket. But also, the Pistons can back off a little bit from the physicality, keep themselves in the game, and aren't going to be punished for it.
That's fine. But I mean, they lead the league in opponent, or they're the worst in the league in terms of opponent free throw attempts.
I understand that, but I'm saying I think they're capable of, when they, to do, the Lakers just aren't very well equipped right now to make a team, pay for that. I just want to mention something really quick before we go. The next, few, week or two, we'll call it, of the games the Lakers play are going to be really fascinating because this is sort of the team that they have. Hopefully Rui's back, sometime by the end of next week or something like that. But AR is obviously going to be out for a while. And so the Lakers have a big swing and big variety in their games. They have 2 home games. This is very rare. Back-to-back home games against the Grizzlies on Friday and Sunday. At the very least, you've got to split that. You've got a game against the Pelicans a week from Tuesday. A week from tonight if you're watching post game. That is a must win because they turn around on Wednesday, second night of a back-to-back, and they're in San Antonio. Then they play the Bucks, who have gotten a little bit better with Giannis back. Then you got the Kings. And so it's like, you understand what I'm saying? Like these games against the Kings, the Hornets are going to be visiting in a couple weeks to crypto.com. You've got 2 against the Grizzlies. Those games are must wins because that's where you're going to be able to find victories over this stretch of games. And, if they're going to stay afloat kind of and kind of get through this bad stretch, while they hopefully figure some stuff, like they can't give away those games. Because I just don't think you can go in and expect to beat San Antonio, for example, on the second night of a back-to-back.
Last thing I want to say really quick, and we can obviously talk about this more, get closer to the deadline over the course of the season, whatever. But for all the talk about, would you use the first-round pick to trade for X player, or, well, should you preserve it so you can have 3 around the draft to make some big deal? A game like the Pistons is against a team like the Pistons that is so young and so deep with youth. We just saw this with San Antonio. The Lakers are going to have to start considering more the insane idea of actually using a draft pick on a player that they develop, because it is getting harder in this league to keep up with the Joneses, particularly with how fast and athletic this league has become, when you are constantly cutting yourself off.
Are you allowed to do that?
Apparently you are. I looked into it. You are.
Huh.
Yeah, Luka's daughter.
I just assumed that you weren't allowed to do it because the
But I'm
Lakers
just
never
saying
do.
it's something, because whenever the Lakers and first round picks are talked about, it is primarily through the prism of who are the Lakers going to trade them for, or whenever they have the rare time they have a first, like a first round draft pick on their team or whatever, it's always through the prism of who are they eventually going to trade that guy for.
Right.
They need to start thinking at least a little bit more flexibly about developing some of these players, because it's very hard to try to build teams, especially in this new CBA, the way the Lakers often look to.
We'll obviously spend a lot of time as the deadline gets a little bit closer talking about that and what the Lakers can do, what might be out there. It's gonna be a very I'm curious to see what the landscape looks like, how many buyers there are, how many sellers there are. There are a lot of teams that I think, like a team like Utah. I think a lot of teams may be expected to be big sellers. I don't think they're going to be buyers, but I don't necessarily think you're going to see a big Lauri Markkanen trade or something like that. So who's out there and who's available? There will be many, many bad offers for the Lakers to take advantage of what could be a more desperate situation as the winter goes along. We'll see what they do. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, Andy, is where you can go hang out with over 37,000 subscribers. I hope everyone, and Andy hopes, we both hope that everyone out there has a great New Year's. Be safe. Be smart on New Year's. We will see everyone in 2026.